All right.
How you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Not that bad, not that bad, not that bad, not that bad. I'm happy to see you like that.
Yeah,
The
I'm
weather
happy.
is good. The weather
Huh?
is good over there, huh?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It was like almost 80 degrees today, so
Wow.
it's not too bad. So how have you been?
Not that bad. Me as usual, I've been really busy lately.
Yep.
A lot of teaching, I do a lot of private session, plus I start with the club. So it's kind of, you can see that we're getting back to a type of normal life, right? So
Yeah.
it's good. I won't complain for sure. It's a good time. It's a good time to be a coach.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So I really appreciate you taking your time just for a quick 30 minutes just to kind of come on and talk a little bit. I really appreciate that. Um, so kind of just for like the viewers of the podcast, if you want to talk a little bit about yourself, your playing journey, and just kind of introduce yourself.
Okay. So my name is Willy Monthe. So I'm a soccer coach for Concordia University. I'm coaching the girl and the guys over there. I'm also coaching the CGEP Saint-Anne, and I'm also coaching with with Soccer La Salle, which is more like a club, like a city club. I'm coaching there, and I'm also the manager of the development of the soccer for the kid. And on my own, I do a lot of private session, like clinic session for athletes, and I'm also a sport psychologist, for athletes.
Awesome, awesome. So that's why I'm actually really excited to have you on because the sports psychologist part is something that I've always been like really into. And for me, you were always in that category of one of the best coaches I had. Just because I always felt like you were able to connect on that mental level very well. And I admired that a lot throughout my time in Montreal. So I guess my first question is kind of first talking a little bit about when you were playing. As you when you were a player, how big of a role do you feel mindset played into the things that you achieved throughout your career?
That's a really good question, Calvin, because I think I had a chance since I was young to all. I was always in those type of teamwork competition was always like hard. I was in trained in FC Metz in Academy over there, which is a League One team. So I did all my formation over there, right? So the competition was really, really, really hard every year, and mentally you have to be tough because every year, they could just flip you out and get somebody else, and one of the most difficult part was to be alone. I was over there alone. I didn't have my family. My family was back in Africa before they moved to Canada, so I was over there by myself. And so it was tough to kind of not deal with the pressure of being outside Africa and being friends by myself, and now be able to perform every single day. So I think that was a big issue with me, and I was happy enough that the FC Metz at that time we didn't really have like a sports psychologist at the time. It was back in 2005. It was really back in the day, right? So it was not something that they didn't promote it a lot at that time. So, but we were dealing a lot with older player. Who was like, what, I went to the same thing as you. Don't worry, like just be focused on what you want, and you're gonna go through it. So the older player kind of played that role for me when I was a bit younger. And when I went to the state, when I went to play for University of Maine, it's the first time that I really realized that we can have that mental support, right? So I have the chance that over there they have that mental support for us, where the coach was there to, like how to deal with pressure of being an athlete, how to also deal with the pressure of succeed on your class, and also how to have a social life, because it's so much important as an athlete to have like a judgment between sport, personal life, and school. So in the state, I really realized how important it was, and I focus a lot on it, And it's a bit the same thing in MLS. Is the same process, right? They have all those type of service, for the player to make sure that we have the support. So when I was a bit younger, I didn't have that like really support from like specialists, but the older I was getting, and the more it was available. And that's why today, I decided to focus a lot on it because I feel like it's the most important part. As an athlete, you could be a good athlete, you could be good, you can have all the capacity, but if mentally you're not there, you don't have the judgment in your head, you won't be able to perform in your best level, right? Because you're always going to have something that will hold you back. And when mentally you're kind of free, everything is just more easy and more simple. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's awesome. And that's something that I think like you just said, I've seen as a player, the more tense you are mentally and the more stressed out you are, it's very hard to perform well and to go out there and feel like you have confidence. But like you said, when you're in that positive mental state, when you're feeling like everything's flowing freely, it's a lot easier to go out there and almost kind of in a way like you're not thinking about performing, you're just enjoying it and you're going out there and just doing what you know you can do.
Exactly, especially for you guys as a goalkeeper, right? I know you don't have the same pressure as yours. You guys, most of the time, be like two goalie, let's say. Uh, Most of the time, you guys are like two goalie.
Hmm.
Kind of, sorry, yeah, it's kind of cut a little bit, but it's good now.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so most of the time, you guys are only two goalie, right? So the competition is always hard because it's not like yours. We feel the coach can change us every time. As a goalie, you don't have that chance to switch every time. So mentally, you have to be more stronger, right? Because the competition mentally is more hard to deal with, than a field player.
Absolutely. And I definitely agree with that. I think, especially in terms of, like you said, usually there's only two goalkeepers or maybe a third, but usually the coach will pick one, and that's most likely going to be the starter for that season unless something happens. But also, too, I've noticed that, especially in football, the pressure on a goalkeeper can also be a lot different than say you like a field player because one mistake can equal a goal where if someone higher up the field or forward or midfielder, they might play one or two bad passes and get away with it. But as goalkeepers, if we do one bad pass, if we mess up a goal kick, then it's right in the net, and then there's no one else to blame but ourselves, and everyone kind of just looks at you. So that's definitely true. So that's why I think I find it so fascinating, because I think after soccer's done, I think that's something I really want to focus in and help younger athletes out, and definitely go along that. So I guess going into my next kind of question here is, as a coach and as a sports psychologist, when you're looking at players, and this is just for younger kids who are listening to this, just looking to get advice, how important is mindset when you're recruiting players? How do you look at that as a coach, as a sports psychologist, and can it be a determining factor in whether you end up going with a player or not?
Yeah, so Kevin, that is actually like a good and tricky question, because I remember 4 years ago when we started working at Concordia, it's something that we didn't think about. It was only about like get player, right? We didn't focus a lot on that mindset, like where the player are mentally, or why are they in the stage in their life. We didn't focus on it. And the last 2 years, I remember I sit down with the coaching staff, and we were like, we have to be more précis. I don't know how you say that in English. Précis. You have to be more structured and like forward on what you're looking, And we decided to focus a little bit more on it. And since we did it, things are changing. Calvin, it's tough to evaluate someone by seeing them from far, but when you know a little bit like the people mindset, it's easy to kind of focus on it. So just I'll give you a simple example. On the girl side, I remember 2 years ago I went to Ottawa for a showcase, and then I was looking at the girl. I was looking at them during the warm up. The way they were acting. When they were going to the bench. The way they were acting, because as a coach and as someone working in that psychology field, you can detect a lot of things by just seeing them act in their environment. So I was not even focusing on the game that much. I was really focusing on them being themselves, even other people. And then I was focusing on certain players, and then I was seeing the way they were acting, And then even before they step up in the field, I was know that that girl, she's going to be a good one on the field, because you know what, she's really responsible. When it was warm up, she was focused on it. She went to get her water. She put her bag really where it was supposed to go. Other people were just throwing the bag away. And by doing those detail, like if someone do those details before the game, as a coach, that when that person going to step in the field, she's going to make sure that everything is well done, right? So we start to look at those little details, and it was making all the difference. And it also helped us make sure that the player that we are getting, because when you talk about the psychological aspect, Calvin, is really important because we have so much good player in the CGF level, or in grade 12, it's not because they're good that we're going to take them. Now, beside the fact that they're a good player, they, they're going to bring something else to the team, they mentally like stable, they can be leader, they're going to bring something good to the team or not, So it's something that we're going to look at it now. We turned on the couple guys last year because we were feeling like, the echo did get back from the coaches, No, he did this in the past, it was his birthday and he didn't invite the guys from the team, So those little things give you so much information about someone. And today, I'm pretty sure we're not the only one doing it. I'm pretty sure most of the universities do the same thing as yours, And we're going to go on social media, Calvin. I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to go to the Facebook page, especially me. I'm going to go to the Facebook page. I'm going to go to the Instagram page. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to see what they post, from themselves. And that information is precious for me, right? So if I go to Instagram, Calvin, I'm a coach trying to recruiting you. I see that. I see the video of you always like doing party or doing stuff. The information that you're sending me is not the good one, right? So we're going to pay attention to it. So if you are a young player, one thing that I'm really going to advise you is really to make sure that uh, you have everything stable in your life. I know it's more easy to say than do it, but it's really important to find that just middle because everything the coach when they're going to get you, they don't know how good you are. They're going to go on the field, they're going to see that yeah, you can dribble 5, 6 players, but today we're looking more than that, So you have to act properly every time because you don't know who is watching, right? So don't just go on the field and say that I'm going to score some goal and going to look at me. No, because they're going to start looking at you even way before you step in the field. So it's really important to make sure that you always act the right way every time because you never know who is watching. And you have to be yourself, you have to be yourself every time. So I think it's not because you write in the podcast with me that I'm going to say that, but Calvin, I think through your time in Concordia, you were able to see what type of person you were, you were always on time, you were disciplined, you were coming, you were asking information. So those little things, Calvin, it make all the difference. As a coach, you rather have a guys like you than have someone who's better, but we're not going to listen and we're not going to apply certain type of thing, So today, coach, they look at those little data, right? So it's really important to be humble too, I think being humble change everything because that's what we're looking, to make a strong team.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a very good answer. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I have to say, like my time at Concordia was in terms of football probably my proudest achievement. And I wish it could have ended differently. I wish, I do definitely miss it. So and I always think about, the team and I always wish you guys nothing but success because everything is run really well and it's very professional. So I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Um, no problem, no problem. So I was going to say now, so this is something that I kind of find interesting because before I went to Concordia, I went to university in the States. And when I went to Concordia, I realized how much mental health was seen different in Canada than here in the States. And that was a really big eye opener for me because at my previous college, there was no one really talked about it. There was nothing. But in at Concordia, there was Bell Let's Talk, and the mental healthness was something that was very important. So I guess my question for you is, what do you think would be some good steps, or what do you think is like the first step for leagues like the NCAA and other smaller leagues to getting kind of making sure that they are providing mental health services to student athletes and providing that opportunity to not only get better at football and academically, but also to get better mentally.
Kevin, the point that you're bringing is an interesting point because the more we getting, the more we're seeing that mentally, it's really important that the athlete they have to be in the right place. I don't know if you see recently what happened with the Montreal Canadian, Jonathan Drouin. He stepped out a little bit from the team because he was having too much mental pressure and everything. So he decided to step up to take some time for him, and leave the team. It's kind of special to see a professional athlete like him, to just decide, he was like, mentally, I'm not in a good space now. I need to step up to go like relax. I'm going to come back when I'm ready. So I think today we're realizing how important it is. And one thing that has to be done, I think you're going to start with the coaching staff a little bit. In Concordia, we do things a bit differently because the support is there, Calvin, right? I think the NCA, they have the support is that they're going to say, if you have an issue, call this number, someone's going to help you. But as an athlete, it's not that easy to say that, I'm going to take the phone and then I'm going to call that person, right? Because we took pride, we feel like, everything is good. It's just like something is going to be temporary, I'm going to be good, and some people don't even know what it means to have the mental breakdown, and we all went through that, at some point in your life, but we didn't realize those little things. So the fact for me is not only to have the support, but is to know how to put it in place and make sure that people can use it. And I feel like one of the best things to do it is to work with the coaches. I think the coach are the first one that's supposed to be the first line for the athlete. I think it's really important to be close to them, right? When I say close, it's not only like to be on the field with them and no joke, it's also to be outside the field to see, what they're doing, did everything is going well, did they have a girlfriend, how it's going with your girlfriend, and take the information, right? It's really important. And I think at Concordia, yeah, I kind of take that role a little bit because maybe I was a bit younger and it was my job. But beside the fact that it was my job, I really like to be close to you guys, because the closer you are from the player, the more they're going to give you, right? Because they're going to have that connection with you and you're going to make them push even forward, to make you proud. So I think the first thing would be to advocate the service to the coach and even give the permission to the coach about it, how to know that your player has some mental breakdown, how to know that, my player is not where he's supposed to be. So if you give that service to the coach and you give them the permission, I think it's going to be the first step now to help the player, right? Because most of the coach, they're not going to advocate it. They're not going to say to the player during the preseason, like, for example, like if you feel like you have too much pressure and stuff like that, and if you're not comfortable to talk to me, we have this service there for you, right? Most of the coach, you're not going to do it. They're not going to come forward and say that to all the player, right? But you're going to see that through the school, like news, like you have this service for people if you're not feeling right. So I think the first step in the state, I think the fact that it's a bit too big, we have way too many divisions. Like even the NCA is really like 1, 2, 3, and it's separated. The NIA, same thing. The USCA, like all the league. The fact that it's so big, I think it's becoming a little bit of issue for them. In Canada, like you said, it's more easier for us to deal with that because in Montreal, like in Quebec, for example, we have 8 universities, so it's kind of tight, so we can reach out to them really easy, and distance-wise, it's all close, right? But when you're in the state, if you live in Vermont, if you have to go play in New York, it's completely like in different place. You have to go play in West Virginia. So the fact that the team are really like spread up a little bit everywhere make it a bit complicated, I think, to offer something like that. And we were talking about Bell for the cause, yeah, Bell can touch more people because we all close to each other, right? So in Montreal only we have four university, and the other one, the farthest one is Quebec, is 2 hours 30. So the fact that we kind of close make it easier to provide that type of service. But I think having for the state, I think the first thing would be really to advocate it to the coach and give them some symposium about it, and to see how they could be the first line responder for the kid. And now when they realize that, what, I think I'm not the appropriate person to help that kid, I'm going to give him like somebody else to actually go work with him. And before maybe I answer the question a bit like too in detail, but I think it's really important. I think the athletes are also responsible of it. Calvin, I was telling you, I think most of the time, because they don't know how to react when they feel that mental burnout. Sometimes they don't even realize it. So I think it's really important to make sure that we don't make it look like he has some mental breakdown, he's not strong enough. We have that masculinity today where I'm a male. I cannot draw, I cannot do those things. So it make it like even harder sometimes for even athletes to accept the fact that what they might gonna need some help. So I think it's also important to say that it's normal. It's normal that at some point during your life you're gonna go through certain thing, and it's gonna be tough to handle it by yourself, and you have some people to help you. So I think the acceptation from athletes is going to be also a big part of the solution for it.
Awesome. No, that's a very good answer. I think you touched on a really big part of where the athletes have to play a role too, because I do think that there is this thing where sometimes people are like, they might be dealing with something off the field, on the field with a lot of pressure, but they feel like they are like, oh, I have to handle it and I'm not going to ask for help. And that's what it is. That's the only way that it can be, is like, I have to feel this pressure and that's it. And I think, like you said, it's important to make sure that we kind of open up kind of like a dialogue, but also an environment where people can really just say like, listen, like, I have a lot going on, like, I need a little time away. I think that's very important for athletes at the like college level, youth level, and professional level. So I think that's something that's definitely important. So that was a really good answer. So to kind of finish off everything, you definitely have a lot of advice. So if you younger kids that are listening, or people in general, whoever it may be, what would be a little bit of advice for someone if they're looking to get stronger mentally, or kind of first steps to really, if you're a footballer and you're looking to get better with your mindset, what would be a little bit of advice that you would give anyone looking to kind of improve that area of their game?
So, like I always say, even to my patient, is so much easier to say than to do it, right? So, sometime in the beginning when I started doing what I was doing, I was like, it's so easy, I was like, why they even thinking that much, like everything is so easy, don't think, like, but the more I was going to it, I was realizing it's so much easier to say than to do it. And one thing that I always going to say is visualization, Calvin. I think you have to make a lot of visualization because it changed so many things. So as a coach, one thing that I'm doing a lot, I'm trying to always see myself, like winning a game. Even we have a game on Sunday, by starting on Monday, I'm going to be like, we're going to win that game. We're going to win that game. I think about it. So mentally, I'm sending my mind some positive mindset, and it's going to help me. And some players, sometimes when you doubt yourself, you're not going to send that information, right? You're going to be like, so I'm going to be good enough for the game. Do I'm going to be ready or not? So when you say that to your mind is going to start doubting. You're going to be like, I'm not too sure. So the mind is so important because the information that you send to it is going to change everything. So you have to keep that positive mindset, Kevin. It change everything. So it really starts with yourself, before like it came from somebody else. So you have to trust yourself. You have to know that if I'm play at that level or at this stage in my life, it's because I have something, right? That's why I'm on the team. So you have to be comfortable with yourself and trust yourself. So that's always the first advice that I give to athletes. And now the second one is always to. So one thing that we say about getting ready mentally, like how we start to get ready mentally, what you're going to do to get mentally ready. Like for me, for example, I listen a lot of music, it makes me feel good, so you have to know yourself. When you know yourself, it makes everything easier, right? So I know, personally, I know that I like to listen music to kind of, I take it easy to relax, to put myself in a good mindset. So you put you put your headphone, you put the music that you like, and you say to you put you in a good mood and you're ready to do it even before the game. I always say that it's good to have that sound in the locker room where everybody can enjoy the music, but it may be not going to connect with everybody because some people they like to be more like in the quiet space to get ready for the game, right? So if you know yourself enough, when they're going to put that music like that, what, you're going to take some step away. You're going to go in the area where you're going to be more in your space and where you're going to be more ready. So that's why the second advice is really to know yourself. The more you know yourself, the easier you're going to make it for you. So those are the two little things that I always give because I don't want to go too much in detail because it's going to be too much specific. So I always give the advice that everybody can apply right away, right? Right away, Calvin, it's really important to know yourself. When you know yourself, it makes everything easier. And one thing that you can always do, I know some people are going to say, but it's too much money to go see a sports psychologist because of this, because of this. If you know what, if you can just spend $100 for a 1 hour session with the sports psychologist, so it can help you know yourself because sometimes some people don't even know themselves. They don't know how they are, how they react to certain situations. So you can invest $100 to know some information about you that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. Is a game changing, right? So I'm also advisable to always like invest that money to go see someone who's going to help you know yourself a little bit more. So you're going to give you those little tips that you're going to be able to use, when you're going to be in need to use that information. So those are the three little things that I always put first before I go too much in detail with all the like the specific part. So because we're speaking maybe to a more like younger audience now, that's why I'm going to keep it that simple, and even the adult can use it, right? Even with my player, most of them are 18 and plus. Those are already simple information that I give to them. And yeah, for sure, I'm always there to help them because it's my field. But I give most of the time I give them the advice, and they can use it from themselves and make it happen, right? So those are the little things that I can say to your audience today, Calvin.
Awesome, awesome. So, yeah, I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, so I really appreciate you coming on and just talking a little bit. This is an awesome episode. I'm really excited to share with everyone. I think people are gonna get a lot of information out of it because I think you always have so much to say, and when you talk, it's very interesting. So you have a lot of very good points. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking for a little bit.
Calvin, the pleasure is really mine, and I really appreciate what you're doing. It's kind of special when you have people, like you came 3 years from the state, and we usually doesn't have people coming from the state, and you came over. Yeah, it was not for a long time, but it was for a good time, right? I think personally, I really enjoy your company. I really enjoy your company. We didn't have enough time to get to know each other, but every time that we had to interact was always some good time, right? So I really keep that good memory about you. So when I see you doing those type of things, it make me comfortable of the image I have from you, right? So it's really good to see you out there, not only promoting like soccer and everything, but just like to be having fun and love what you're doing. I see you training every day. I see you post your video and see. So for me too, it's an inspiration, Kevin. It kind of helped me do what I'm doing every day to see you guys doing what you guys doing, right? So I really appreciate what you're doing and keep doing a great job. You're influencing a lot of people, and it's good to see you becoming the man that you are becoming, Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I hope you have a good rest of the Sunday and enjoy your time.
Merci beaucoup, Kevin. Même chose à toi aussi.
Merci.
Salut, salut, Kevin.